Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful Monday with us on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. I have a guest who will be showcased in a moment. The reason why I have this on is because it was on this day, July 14, 3 years ago in 2022, that Live with Lloyd came to YouTube, Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. So this is my anniversary day today, and I only dawned on me at the last minute today. So I'm not going to ask much other than you definitely, without question, kind of give some thumbs up today because it's the birthday. Now, this is a guest I'm going to have on in just a minute. Brother Cameron Simmons. He's an LMT. We're going to ask what that is for those of you who may not be aware. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you very much. And listen, again, for those of you who stuck with me since Jump Street, since July 14th of 2022, this is the third year. So, I don't ask for much. I do ask that you don't be cursing on my show, okay? I ask that you don't be disrespectful to my guests. But the only thing I'm asking over and above that, can all of you please today give us a thumb up? I do understand it does a lot for the likes. So I'd appreciate everyone if they could do that. But before I do that, let me do with the sponsors, which is Numeralytics. In fact, she's going to be having a special guest on her show tomorrow, Kanaya Sasu. She's going to be my guest here on the 23rd of this month. She is an astronumerologist. She's excellent from what I understand. So she will be featured on Numbers Matter or Numeralytics on YouTube, okay? And by the way, this beautiful lady here, her name actually is Melinda Valentine, okay? She's going to be bringing that out. Also, she is giving a summer sale on all her charts, $50. You can't beat it. Also, my buddy, King Simon, who is now there into part 2 of The Anatomy of Numerovation. So for those of you who would like to be a part of that, just go to his Patreon, www.patreon.com/King Simon Productions, and you will have it. Also, I want to thank Monique of Nicholas, Brooklyn. That's my girl, at 1396 Fulton Street. In fact, my guest is a regular there. So if you need the best massages on the planet, after he explains it, that's where you go to get it, okay? Other than his own place, of course. Then next is Uchenna. I do believe by this weekend, his book should be up and available on, I didn't check this week. I didn't get a chance to check today. It might be up. But for those of you, if you go to Amazon, the book is featured for 7 days. The ebook is 99 cents. That is it. Also featuring Manifest on Purpose with Miss Kimberly. She is a business astronumerologist, and she provides this services. The consultation is complimentary. So for those of you, there's been mass layoffs. Some of you are going to say, okay, that means me to go into business for myself or whatever the case is. So for those of you who want to take a more astro-metaphysical lens looking at your business, this is the person to contact. Her contact number is at the bottom, KIMBALEY.com. And of course, Jazz Aphrodite is going to be establishing a Numerology Mastery Institute this summer, next month. So that should be very, very informative too. So let me just do today's forecast for today. And it is Monday, July 14th. I think I got everything right today. The sun is in Cancer. The moon is in Pisces. It's a 7 universal month, a 9 universal week, a 3 universal day. So if you happen to be a Pisces or Sagittarius in the house, all born on the 3rd, 12th, 21st, or 30th of the month, well, this should be a good day for you, no question. So now, without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest, Cameron. And let me tell you this. I met him by frequenting, Nicholas, Brooklyn at 1396 Fulton Street. That is the most amazing, holistic, spiritual place. I mean, you got to go there to see it. Just don't take my word for it. Just go there. They always having lectures and things like that. And this is how I met this distinguished gentleman right here, Cameron uh, Simmons. All right.
Simons.
Simons, excuse me.
Sure.
You know, it's actually right, like King Simon. All right. Are you guys related? No, I'm not. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Only kidding. Anyway, Cameron, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Baba Lloyd. Thank you so much for having me on. And I just want to give you a shout out for 3 years of your show, your 3-year anniversary. Shout out to you.
Yeah, it don't seem that long. I've had my lights go out. I've had the computer go out. I've had all kinds of things, and people still stuck with it, you know. But
Right.
I guess that's the thing when it's live. You are a massage therapist of a high order, but you also a LMT. What does that mean?
LMT means licensed massage therapist. So I'm licensed in New York State. That's what the LMT is.
Okay. So if you went to other states, does that mean you need a license in, like, say, if you went across the bridge to Jersey or Philly or DC or any other place for that matter, Philly?
So other states, some states have license, other states have certificates, but New York State has the highest reciprocity. So if I wanted to work in Jersey, I would just go to their license, to their office of professions and figure out if it was license, certificate. But I could hold a license and certificate in several different states, and it'd be easy for me because I was educated in New York State. And so anywhere I travel in the country, I can usually just apply for the certificate and get it.
Well, that makes sense because New York, everybody know New York is number one. All right.
Yeah, right,
That's how New York rolls. Okay.
right.
It's the number one in billionaires, millionaires. It's also the number one in poverty, too. Such extremes of things.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Um, that's interesting. Okay. What led you down this path to get into what you do to be you are a master, you're a Reiki master.
Right.
You do shamanic. Is that the correct way?
Shamanic Reiki, yes.
Yeah, shamanic Reiki. First of all, let's give a little background. How'd you get started in this? Were you born in New York?
I was born in New York. Yes,
All
I was
right.
born in New York. I actually grew up in Westchester, New York. And you know, this has always been a part of me because the further I go back, the further I realize this has always been there. And massage for me, I always say it's just a vehicle for energy work. And what I mean by that is people come onto my table. I have clientele from all different walks of life. And I realize that the deeper I go into the body, you get to a certain point, and other LMTs will understand what I'm saying. You get to a certain point in the body where, you know, you have people that want really deep pressure, really deep tissue. There's no problem. I could push my elbow through your body into the table. But it's like, is that the best thing for you? It's not, because you get to a point where you realize that the tension that you're feeling is actually emotional tension.
Really?
Yes. And so it's like, I can't break this person in half in order to get to that tension. So I had to back up a little bit in myself and say, okay, these people are dealing with emotional issues. How do I address the emotional issues? Because prior to that, and I would say even prior to COVID, it was like massage therapy and Reiki, and they were very much separate for me. But then I started going deeper into the energy work, and I would just ask my massage clients, do you want some energy work as well? And they would say yes. And that's when I could kind of get into the nervous system and the psychology of it, of the massage work. And that's why I say that massage is a vehicle for energy work, because now that I'm really combining the two, I can go so much deeper into the work that I do.
In your website, you said you've been doing this for over 2 decades. That would be at least
Yes,
20
sir.
plus years, I take it then,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes. So I got my first Reiki attunement in 2004 in Virginia. I went to
When you
school.
say attunement, what does that mean? That word attunement. You did it or somebody did it to you?
Somebody did it for me. So
Uh,
every Reiki practitioner gets a series of attunements, and there's three main attunements. You have Reiki 1, where you can work on yourself. You can work on other people too, but it's really to familiarize yourself with the Reiki energy. Reiki 2 is then you become more proficient, you get different Reiki symbols, and you can work on other people. And then Reiki 3 is Reiki master teacher. And so I'm a Reiki master teacher. And and so my first attunement was in 2004. And that really, like, I was doing different types of energy work before that. I was doing qigong. It was a lot of self-taught stuff, and Reiki for me was the first introduction into this world.
Question: why should anybody get massage therapy anyway?
Honestly, everybody should get massage therapy. First off, everybody should get massage therapy every week. And it should be, it's not a luxury, okay? It is more of a necessity, just like the same
Hmm.
way we should be going to yearly checkups with our general practitioners, right? There's certain things that we should be doing. We should drink water every week. I wish that massage was available to everybody so that they can get it every week, because when you receive massage, it helps to it's a form of preventative medicine. So it helps to address things that may pop up later down the line. And even simple things like, okay, you're familiar with plantar fasciitis?
No, never heard of
Plantar
him.
fasciitis is something, it deals with the fascia on the bottom of the foot. It's extremely painful, and I hear people going into surgery for it, but you can literally stretch out your plantar fascia, and that will get rid of the plantar fasciitis. And a lot of people don't know that. And so that's just an example of one of the many things people go to the doctor for. They get surgeries, they get medical interventions when simple massage can help them out.
And you suggested ideally they should get it at least once a week.
So in a perfect world, I say once a week. If they can't afford once a week, then once every 2 weeks. If they can't do once every 2 weeks, then once a month. And if they can't do once a month, do it once a quarter, at least 4 times a year.
Question: there's some people that are touchy feely.
Right.
How do you deal with those that might feel like, massaging or stuff like that? Do you encounter that?
Well,
And
how
how
do
do
you
you put
mean?
them
How
at
do you mean?
ease so they understand the work that you're trying to do with their bodies?
So explain what you mean by that touchy feely.
Well, there's some people that don't like to be touched.
Oh yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? For
Yes.
example, I had the experience where I read a person. She said she didn't like to be touched. When I checked further, her father was a funeral director, which don't deal with the living.
Oh
So then
wow.
I was in another situation, and the woman had just said up out of the blue, "So, well, yeah, I don't like being touched." And I said, "By any chance, does your father work in a funeral related business?" She said, "Yes." How did I know? So I
Hmm.
assume that in their nature, they don't deal with the living; they deal with those that have transitioned. So I'm sure there are other reasons, but that was just my experience in those two examples.
Right.
So do you have anybody that, and they don't all have to have that kind of background, of course, but where they're kind of reluctant about, or maybe they've just never been touched or held or hugged? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And there are so many different reasons for that, what you're describing. Some people have experienced trauma. Some people have, like you said, their parent could be a funeral director. So I don't always know people's backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, when people come to me, those aren't the people who don't want to be touched. But I have come across a lot of people because I do a lot of corporate wellness as well. I'm
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
corporate, a consultant to for corporate massage, corporate wellness. And so I have some people, especially sometimes the director will come to me or whoever the coordinator is, say, "Are you getting a massage?" "Oh no, I don't like to be touched." So I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
come across
exactly.
people who don't want to be touched, and it could be a lot of things. I always go to trauma first, because in my line of work, we have to be keenly aware that people are carrying traumas onto the table. And so that's the first thing I go to. Something, because I think it's a natural inclination for people to want to be touched. We should receive a certain amount of hugs every day, a
Sure,
certain amount of
sure.
hugs, certain
I
amount of
agree. I
affection,
agree.
you know, healthy affection. Humans need healthy affection. I'll give you an example, right? you see little boys are rough and tumble, right? Like they like to run around and
Yeah,
wrestle
yeah,
and all that stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Little boys are supposed to wrestle with their fathers, and that's a
Hmm.
form of affection. That's oftentimes how we show as men, how we show each other affection.
Yeah.
And so what happens now when that little boy grows up into a man and doesn't receive regular affection from anybody, especially brothers? There are a lot of brothers who don't receive any form of physical affection at
Hmm.
all
Hmm. Hmm.
in their average day. And so what's that doing to the psyche with a species of beings who are supposed to receive affection? And so it goes very deep. Your question goes very deep.
Yeah, because I know they said something that if an infant grows up and has never been hugged or loved, by the time they're 2 or 3 years old, they can forget it. Yes, they're human beings, but they're not the normal human beings because they've been deprived of being held or loved or things like that. So the body is really, really amazing, all depending on how we treat
Yes.
it coming out the womb. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Have you ever heard of this? I don't know if this is an urban legend or it's an actual study that they did, but I've heard this many times over the years. I think it was a monkey or something like that, where there was a baby monkey and they had it basically a robot raising it, giving it its milk, it's all its nutrition and everything. But the animal died, and they said that the animal died because it lacked physical affection. It did not receive physical affection.
Yeah, I don't doubt that there is a very strong connection with us interacting with each other. There's no question about it. But before I let you continue, I do want to ask the viewers, other than please give me a thumbs up, please, or whatever, push the button, whatever. Um, if any of you have had massages, or if you have questions, or have you ever felt being comfortable touched or not touched, or why, or whatever the case is. So, because I think it's interesting when you do these massages, about how long should they last, ideally, especially either for novice, those who have been doing it for a while, and those who are experts, like they know that it's therapy for them.
So for the people who come to me, I always recommend a 90-minute to a 2 hour. A lot of my regular clients, they do
Wow.
mine 90 minutes, 2 hours. I've even had some clients do 3 hour massages. And because they know what they want, they know what they need. So I have for me, a lot of the people who come to me, they are dealing with different levels of stress, and they understand that the first hour of the massage is just coming off the ledge, relaxing their body and their nervous system so that they can receive the massage.
You would think with all the stress going on this planet nowadays that everybody every day should be up there getting some kind of release of tension or whatever the case is, like that.
This is what I'm saying. People need it. And my work, this is the thing. This is my work, right? Yes, I do massage. Yes, I'm an energy worker. I call myself an energy conductor for a lot of different reasons. A conductor, like a lightning rod, because with the Reiki and the Qi Gong, I always remind people that it's not my energy per se. I'm just a vessel. I'm just a conductor, a conduit for the energy to come through. But then also like a conductor, like a ferryman, like a ferry boat going across the river. And when we go deeper into the shamanic work, I'm gonna get you to the other bank. It may be rough and rocky, and like I've had laughter, tears, spontaneous tears. People go on these shamanic journeys when they're on my table. You have a lot of people come off my table and I say, "Hey, how do you feel?" And they say, "I can't put it into words." I say, I've had people tell me they can't put it into human words. They're not sure what they just experienced. So for some people, it's psychedelic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
my job as the energy conductor, like a train conductor, I'm going to get you to the other side of this healing session.
That is, well, let me ask you this. In your profession of doing this, are there any do's and don'ts when they go? I would imagine, just as you have some people that are very expert and whatnot, what about those people that say they are but really don't do it as well as they should, if that makes sense?
Oh yeah, well, for one thing, look for credentials. Get you a licensed massage therapist. I would avoid going to Chinatown. Now, this is the thing.
Really? Why so?
This is the thing because I shouldn't say that because you have people who are doctors of massage therapy in China. They have doctors of massage, just in the same way we have medical doctors. They have doctors of massage. Not
Interesting.
everybody wearing Chinese skin is a doctor of massage, though. Some people, that's their hustle. That's their New York hustle.
Yeah,
They say,
there's scams and everything, especially New
right,
York City.
right. Like they may know how to do it. Maybe their grandma used to massage their feet. Because this is the thing in certain cultures, like in the Chinese and certain Asian cultures, they grow up knowing these things or they grow up learning this. So the same way we may go and learn herbal medicine, or some people, if you think like down south, especially in this country with our melanated people, a lot, or our Caribbean people or our African people, right? They just grow up under knowing herbal medicine, but are they an herbalist per se? Not necessarily. Maybe their grandmother used to massage their back and massage their feet. Does that make them a massage therapist? Not necessarily, though they could be skilled in what they do. You understand? I would recommend people go to licensed massage therapists and certified reflexologists when they go. So that's a do right there.
Now, what is the difference between massage therapy and a Reiki master? First of all, when you said you were a conductor, that makes sense because the body is electrical in nature anyway.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So, for those that have heard of Reiki, um, can you just explain that just a bit? And then you are a Reiki master. Is there
Yes.
there's got to be a difference because it's got two different names. So I would
Right.
assume so, right?
So Reiki master is just someone who performs Reiki or someone who does Reiki. Reiki is in a healing art, an energy healing art that was rediscovered in Japan in the early 1900s. And I say rediscovered because as you go back in the lineage of it, you understand, or we learn that a lot of these things came out of the Happy Valley, out of the Nile, what we call today the Nile Valley, from Kemet and the interior of Africa. And they traveled throughout the world through, from Africa to what we call the Middle East, to what we call India, to what we call China and Japan, and all throughout the world in every direction. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was rediscovered in Japan in the early 1900s. And the founder was meditating on a mountain, and it's classic Asian story, right? The man was meditating on the mountain and it came to him and he was given the Reiki symbols and all this other stuff. Reiki actually was being practiced in Japan before the founder founded his form of Reiki, and he codified it in a way so that it could be transmitted and brought throughout the rest of the
Do
world. I
you know that founder's name by any chance?
believe it's Usui. I want to say Usui.
Sui. Okay.
USUI Reiki.
Okay. This person here says they love massages, especially if it's with someone they trust, because it's
Right.
a transfer or release of energy, which is kind of how you broke it down. That makes sense.
It is. And massage can get deep because the massage between, the relationship between a massage therapist and their client or their patient is really a sacred dance. And so as
Interesting.
you're in there, it's a dance. And the more comfortable somebody is with their therapist, the deeper again it can go into the work. And when I say going deeper into the work, that doesn't mean more pressure. That means the unfolding of layers. Because I said in the beginning, right? For me, massage is a vehicle for energy work
Mm-hmm.
because we're energy. Everything is energy. Our bodies are energy. Everything is energy. And the work that I really do, and I was saving this for your audience, the work that I really do is quantum healing because we're healing on the quantum level. We are in there, past, present, and future are existing in the same space. And so, and it's always like that, even if a therapist and a client aren't aware of that. And so the space, the table is a sacred space, and the healing space that you're in is a sacred space because now we're talking about past, present, future in the same place at the same space time.
That makes sense. But it would appear to me like, as Mr. C was saying, he loves a massage. Evidently, I guess the more a person trusts you, the deeper you can go into
Yes,
the massage. Does that make sense?
definitely makes sense. Yes, because then you're allowed to let your guard down. Because think of it like this, okay? When someone receives a massage, they are completely nude. They're covered up, they're draped with the sheet or a towel or whatever the
Hmm.
therapist is using, but you're
Hmm.
naked. How many
Hmm.
people in this world actually see you, or how many people get to see you in that way,
In the
period?
buff.
Right, in the buff, exactly.
Yeah.
Not many people at this point in our lives, our partners, our
Yeah.
lovers, our partners,
Sure.
but it's not a
Sure.
normal thing. So you're extremely vulnerable, and this is why
That makes sense. That makes sense.
is why I also encourage my fellow massage therapists to receive massages, because we have to be reminded what it's like to be under that sheet in the buff, completely vulnerable in the hands of somebody that you trust.
Now I know you don't do this out at Nicholas Brooklyn,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because
Right.
I've seen you operate. I've seen you operate.
Right.
This person here says they heard you say you're a Reiki teacher. What kind of Reiki do you recommend people of color to take?
I recommend, if you're in New York, you could come learn Reiki with me. I'm a Reiki teacher. And it's
But she says, what
traditional.
kind of Reiki? Does that
It's
make sense?
traditional
Because I think
Reiki.
you said you're a shamanic Reiki.
Yes, I teach. It's so I practice traditional Reiki, but a shamanic version of traditional Reiki. This is the thing. Reiki again is another vehicle, because the way everybody practices Reiki is going to be different. You could do the cookie cutter Reiki, hand positions and certain thing. You can do that, but you're going to learn as a Reiki practitioner that your intuition guides you. Your intuition guides you through. And it's important for any energy worker to really embrace the intuitive aspect of the work that they do. That's what makes it shamanic. Because I tell my clients all the time, we can be completely silent during the session, but you always have the option to speak if something comes up. Some people are completely silent. Some people might say, "Oh, I'm seeing something. Oh, a message just came through."
Hmm.
Sometimes I'll hear a message come through and I'll always sit on it. I won't just jump on it. I say, "Okay, I heard that." And then 9 out of 10 times, something will happen to confirm. And I say, okay, this is what popped up. Then I'll deliver the message. I'll say, does this resonate with you? And 9 times out of 10, it resonates. Now, I don't always receive messages, if you want to call that.
Of course, that makes sense.
Right. So that's a big part of it. So it's traditional Reiki that I teach. But even as you learn it with me, I'm going to add in the shamanic aspect. I'm going to add in the meditation and the things that got me to this point.
This person here says that's true. It is called strokes, STOAKA. It says those babies who haven't had physical contact with parents are most likely to grow up and be psychopaths. They read this in the book Transactional Analysis Psychotherapy.
Ooh, there you go. Yes.
Yeah.
And that goes into so many different areas too, because I'm sure that there are people who they intentionally withhold that type of affection so that they could create a certain type of being.
That's
But
crazy though.
it's insane. Listen, my work, what I was telling you before too, I'm I practice the healing arts. Then I also go into geopolitics. Like I keep myself aware of what's going on in the world too, because I like to look at the macro and I like to look at the micro.
Hmm.
I like to
Hmm.
look at the astronomical, but I like to look at the quantum. And so I bring those in, heaven and earth, even into the sessions and how I deal with people and how I move through the world. And I think we have to be conscious beings. If we call ourselves conscious, then we have to be, whatever we're drawn to, whatever interests us, we have to be conscious of these things so that we can better navigate this realm that we're in.
This is interesting from Sharon West, one of our astronumerologists and faithful viewer. She says, "Hey Cameron, whenever I get a message from my PT or physical therapist, and in my sessions with the Y strap, whatever that means, I get a euphoric feeling. I'm wondering why this is. For those who like me don't what do you know what a Y strap is?
I don't know what a Y strap is, but I can hold on. I'm gonna look that up real quick. I have an idea of what that is. Okay, right. Because the Y strap, they use that to release the cervical spine, to release the neck, or to do traction on the neck. I believe that's what this person's talking about. And so right there, when you're traction on the neck, traction is like a pulling motion. Like if you could imagine this is
Right,
traction,
right. It's
right?
stretching the body. Yeah.
Stretching the neck. And so when you do that, so much tension gets caught up in the neck. We have a lot of nerves in the base of the spine, cranial nerves and muscles that get caught up in the neck. And so this area is so important to release. And then you're talking about you're now increasing blood flow and oxygen to the brain, but then also we do have our pineal glands. Like this is, the third eye is called the third eye for a
Yeah.
reason, or the
Yeah.
first eye for a
Yeah.
reason. So
Yeah.
the think of it like this, right? The body is a piece of technology. So people talking about artificial intelligence, it's a piece of technology created by natural intelligence. What some people may call God, what some people, I'm getting a little confirmation from outside. Thank you, Ashe. What me people, it's a piece of technology created by natural intelligence. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you look at a practice like yoga, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the main reasons for yoga is to create a strong body so that you can have a nice straight spine so that you can meditate. That's what meditation is. That's what yoga is for, really. And so when you have a nice straight spine, you are able to tap into your technology. You're going into the quantum realm. People, I hear this talk about the fourth and fifth dimensions, and people think we go into outer space. Like we're going deeper in to our bodies. We're going infinitely inwards. That's one place that has yet to be explored. And I won't go into too deep about how scientists, like, the human terrain is the final frontier. I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but those who are doing war games and preparing for whatever future war, like, the battlefield is inside of the human body. This is why they have nanotechnology. They're trying to find the soul. They're trying to find what makes us tick.
That's
They
deep,
It's real.
That's deep, Cameron.
It's
Okay, when you
real.
think about it like that. Okay.
And philosophically, okay, here's something philosophically, right? If you look at, generally speaking, if you look at Western um, anatomy books, it's a dead body. It's a person that's laying like this, and they,
Interesting.
and
Interesting.
now if you look at Eastern anatomy books, the person is alive
But that
because
makes so much sense, though.
yes, because you're dealing with a living system. You're dealing with what the Western scientists have finally discovered, in quotes, that we have what is called, and everybody should look this up, the human biofield, the endogenous human biofield. Look up the human biofield. This is what the ancients have been talking about, what our ancestors in the Happy Valley been talking about, what the Indians in the Ayurveda call prana, what the Chinese call chi, what we call the aura, the human biofield. Western science has acknowledged this, and there are research on PubMed that you can go. Some people know what PubMed is now, right?
Hmm.
PubMed is where you go to look up the peer-reviewed scientific studies. They have been studying the biofield for a long time, and they know that it exists, and they don't tell us about it. So we're dealing with living systems. Our body is a living system. The human biofield is the organizing system of our body. This is why at some point we will be able to regenerate limbs and regenerate the damaged body, because the human biofield is the organizing factor. That's like the computer program from natural intelligence that organizes our body. And if we put the right things in our body and do the right thing and have the right practices, the yoga, the qigong, the fasting, the meditation, drink good water, alkaline water, and eat good foods, and nourish our body at the cellular level, then we now have the building blocks to organize that information, which is already coming through our biofield.
That's interesting. The person made it correction. It's called Transactional Analysis in Psychotherapy by Eric Byrne. Thank you so much, Neil Venus. I thank you. I'm telling you, all my viewers, they are so much on the ball. They help a brother out. Trust me. Okay.
Yeah, I know. And this is why I'm so happy to have this conversation with you and with your audience, because I've gone on certain platforms, and I don't want to say I have to stay cookie cutter, but it's like you can only go so far with certain conversations, but I know your audience will understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I like to ask questions too, like who, what, where, when, why, how, This person says, where's the best place to start for a career in massage therapy and Qigong? You also have that on your card.
Yes.
First, answer this question, because you explained massage therapy. You explained also Reiki.
Mm-hmm.
What is Qigong? When you answer this person.
So massage therapy, I would say go to massage school. Fine, depending on what state you're in, go to massage school. If you can somehow take massage in New York, take it in New York. I recommend you take it in New York, because then you could get the reciprocity. If that's not something that's available to you right now, go to massage school. Find a good.
When you studied in New York, is there a so-called traditional school that everybody starts it in New York? Does that make sense?
There's some schools. There's a Swedish Institute. There's New York College of Health Professions. There's Pacifica. I think Pacifica College also.
But they can Google its information then, right?
They can Google
massage schools in New York City.
Right. They can yes, Google massage schools or look up massage schools in New York and find the one that's best for you.
Okay. And JCS says this has been so informative. Thank you. It is to me too.
Okay, great. I'm glad.
Qigong. What's
Qigong.
The difference? Yes.
So Qigong is another energy work system, and Qigong, so it's a Chinese art, and it's really it's about becoming acquainted with the technology that is your body. So the Shaolin monks, if you know about the Shaolin monks, you see these guys, the bodies hard like rocks. These guys are, standing on their pinky fingers, holding their bodies up and doing all this wild stuff, right? Getting broken over their bodies. They're out in the cold meditating, and you see in the snow, and you'll see the snow is melted around them.
Yeah.
That's because they are practicing Qigong. So Qigong is an advanced form of breath work. And you see now all this talk about breath work, like now breath work is the thing. Breath work is ancient. And again, look at the Happy Valley and see the breath work that they were doing back then, because what came from the Happy Valley went to India, and it was an Indian priest, Bodhidharma, or Damo, as they called him. He traveled, so he was doing his thing in India, and then he went on kind of like a mission, like the way we would have these Christian missionaries, but he didn't do it like that, right?
In India, didn't they call it prana?
Yes, the life force energy or the bioelectric energy in India is called prana.
Yeah,
and so went over to China, and he brought it to the emperor and said, hey, I got this thing, check it out. The emperor kind of shunned him, so he said, all right, bet. And so he went up to the mountains, and he found the Shaolin monks up there, and the Shaolin monks were frail and feeble. Now, this is the thing that people need to remember, and this especially for our people, because so much we focus on the by and by, and we just waiting to get to heaven and all that other stuff. But we have these physical bodies for a reason. Life is a gift, right? That's why they call it the present. And so we have to embrace being alive. Don't worry, we're going to get there. We're all going to get there. If there's one thing that's guaranteed, we're all going to get there.
We're all going to be right there at that point, definitely.
Great ever beyond. We're all going to get there. So while we're in this life, we need to cultivate life. And so he found that the Shaolin monks were feeble and weak, and it's because they were focused on the great by and by. They were focused on leaving this realm, and they weren't taking care of their bodies. And so when he got there, he was disgusted and he put himself into isolation for 9 years. 9 years. Damo went into isolation. Who knows what he was doing? He was writing something down, meditating. And when he came back out, he said, this is what you need to do to cultivate your chi, your prana. And he gave them basically a manual and instruction guide. Now, the when we talk about qi gong, we're not always taught that qi gong is to be coupled with yoga. And so yoga is, if I feel like we have to go back to the Ayurvedic, and really now this is something for people to look up. Kalari Piyatu. K-A-L.
Right. We say that again and then spell it.
Kalari Piyatu. Kalari-Payattu, and is I think the proper spelling of it. It is an Indian martial art and healing art. Look at Kalari Piyatu, and then you'll see the foundation of Qigong. You'll see the foundation of Shaolin. My opinion is, Kalari Piyatu is the baddest martial art form I've ever seen, coming out of southern India. And we know southern India, we know who peopled southern India and all that stuff. So we don't necessarily have to go all into that. It was Kushite people, right? Coming from the Happy Valley, coming from the interior of Africa. But the important part of what I'm saying is, if you look at that, couple that with what you learn about Qigong and Tai Chi. Qigong is a healing art where you are filling up your body with Qi. And then once you fill up like the first step is filling your body with Qi. Then you learn how to use it. It's like filling your tank, filling your gas tank in your car. So you're learning, the practice is learning to fill your gas tank. But then when you go into more advanced forms of Qigong, you are clearing the sediment out of your organs. You are filling up the reservoirs of your body, which are your channels and your points. You are moving the fat out of your body and replacing the fat layer with Qi. You are getting in touch with your fascia. Your fascia is a whole other level of, even massage therapists. Not every massage therapist knows about the fascia and myofascial release. So Qi Gong is filling up your body with life force energy, storing it in your body and understanding how to utilize it. And once you understand that, and really Qi Gong, the ultimate goal of Qi Gong is to prepare the body for transition, so that once the individual transitions out of this realm, they can consciously, now it's creating an energy body so that they can consciously transition, like they go from this world to the next world and remain conscious, and they can basically have more say over their next destination.
That's interesting.
Yes. You're not going to necessarily learn that from your average Qigong teacher, because it's a lot to lay on somebody who just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they got to be at a certain level to kind of even grasp that whole concept. But that
Right.
makes, to me, that makes so much sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And so this is why now when you look at, again, going back to the Happy Valley and to Africa, what were their systems doing? They were preparing people to transition to the next realm, to consciously transition.
Knowing
and so
that
it's
everybody got to go that way.
Yes. So it's easy for me to draw these connections. I'm a historian too. You know, I was trained historian. I'm a history major. That was my major in undergrad. So it's very easy for me to draw these conclusions, these parallels, because I see it in so many different cultures. It's preparing people to transition and to interact with that quantum realm. Like that's a whole other thing, just going into the quantum realm. You don't do it through a computer, you do it through your body. Our body is the physical technology for traversing the quantum world.
It's like the vessel.
Yes. It's like the portal.
Okay, that's even better. That makes even more sense. This person says, do you offer this via Zoom, or will you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out to me on my website. You can
Hold up. In fact, let me put the banner up there for Cameron Simons.
Yes, you can. I would say you can shoot me a text. You can shoot me a text at that number 917-300-1957.
And y'all can send him a cash app too.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, you could.
So he can continue to do his work. All right. Again, many of my guests have stepped out on faith. I don't know what you were doing before you went there. You may have had a job in a corporate or some other job, but I noticed that the guests I have on, that they seem to be on a mission. Something seems to move them in a direction to help humanity in esoteric or metaphysical ways. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes, I'll tell
that's
you
why.
about that. I'll tell you about that when you're ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So yes, I did. You did it so true. I'm glad you said that. I did have to step out on faith because I went from working a bunch of dead end jobs, supermarkets. Then I was a foster care caseworker in Brooklyn. So I did that for 5 or 6 years, and that
Mhm.
was crazy. But I went into that conscious. Okay, I woke up in around 2000, the year 2000. That's when I really started to wake up and remember. And I was having, dreams and visions, if you want to call that, and images. A lot of imagery was coming to me. That's because I slowed myself down and started to meditate. And so when I was working as a caseworker, I was already fully conscious. I knew the deal. I knew about, the things that were done to us as a people, what was happening in society. So I understood all these things. And then doing that work, it just got to a point where, okay, so I was doing this meditation and I do this often. And this is something I encourage people to do. And if we have time, maybe we could do a short meditation. But there's something to be said about aligning yourself with your mission, energetically aligning yourself with your mission. Like when we meditate and we want something, we don't just we don't focus on it as if it's not there. We focus on it as if we're living it and we feel it. What does it feel like if you're living your highest manifestation, your highest emanation? What does that feel like right now? Right? So I was doing a lot of that meditation and I was writing down exactly what I wanted. And it came to a point where my energy field was no longer conducive for the environment that I was in. And so I had to leave. But now, where am I going? I still didn't have my massage license at the time. I was doing, body work. I was doing Reiki. I was a Reiki master at the time. And I started off as a teacher of the physical arts. There's a lot of my students right now and a lot of my colleagues who were on this path with me, but I started off teaching Qigong, teaching Tai Chi. I was actually teaching at a college. And that for me was a huge leap of faith because it was like sometimes the money was shorter, but I knew I had to do this work and I knew I had to go deeper into this work and continue to educate myself. And then through that process, I also learned to align my vibration. And that's the big thing that if nothing else, people don't get. It's that our vibration really dictates the direction that we go. And it's important, like, there's this whole thing about being spiritual. It means, all this love and happiness and all this stuff, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's not even about that. It's about how do you deal with adversity when it comes up? Do do you allow adversity to break you, or do you find a way to stabilize yourself and move past it? I did something called the Vipassana meditation years ago. And Vipassana, if people may or may not know, it's a silent meditation. The one that I did was a 10-day Vipassana where there's no talking, no interacting with people, nothing like that. It's just you and your thoughts. I'll tell you, Baba Lloyd, a lot of people didn't make it. There was people and they separate the men and the women, and you just, they provide food and everything. So you have no
I've heard of this. I've
yeah,
heard of this.
yeah.
In fact, they have a center here in New York, I think.
They do. So there's one in the city where people come, and then they actually have retreat centers. Like the one I went to was in Delaware. I think there's one in Massachusetts. They have them all over the country. And the one I went to was Goenka Vipassana. And so you're just silent in there. And what they teach you while you're there is to go deeper into your body. You're bringing your consciousness and your awareness down again to the quantum level. You're focusing in on points on your body, and you're dealing with your emotions. And they explain that everything ebbs and flows. That's the nature of the universe. That's the nature of our reality. And just like the universe, our emotions ebb and flow. So you can have high and lows, but we have to remain equanimous throughout all that. We have to remain even as the ebbing and the flowing is happening. And
Hmm.
so that's what I always challenge people to do, is to remain equanimous. Okay. If you're excited, it's good to be excited. Feel that emotion, but do it with the understanding that that high is going to come back down. If you're sad, depressed, angry, just know that that emotion is going to come back up. It's going to balance itself out. But can we be observers of our emotions? Can we separate ourselves at times when it may not serve us to fully fall into those emotions? Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah,
But you have to have a certain level of discipline, and it's easier said than done. That
right.
is
It is.
obvious.
It is. And the universe will continue to test us. You reach a certain level of, I don't know if you call it attainment, evolution, whatever, and then you get a test. It's like, okay, I see you. Okay, you got that. You don't get angry anymore. Okay, you don't blow up and snap anymore. Okay,
But you
let's
know what
throw a
it
couple.
is? So much of this stress and
Mhm.
everything is so distractions of TVs and internets and this, that,
Right.
and a lot of people don't know what it's almost like to just be alone to meditate or go into the deep meditation that you talked about that most people have never experienced.
Right. And for people who are just beginning meditation, it's okay if the thoughts come in. You just acknowledge them and send them on their way. It may happen 100 times. That's okay. But can you sit there and feel? Can you sit there and be present? Some of those thoughts, it's not, we shouldn't suppress those thoughts either. It's not about suppressing those things. It's about acknowledging them and meeting them where they're at. They're coming up for a reason. It may be an interaction. Okay, here's the thing, right? Dealing with energy work. It's important for people who are sensitive. They have to reset their environment. They have to reset their energy field. They do have to sit and meditate in silence in order to recalibrate themselves. It's good to burn sage and Palo Santo in order to reset the actual vibration of the space that you're inhabiting.
Hmm.
Sometimes we're walking around with energy that doesn't belong to us just because of how we were interacting. Or maybe it could have just bounced off of somebody and latched onto you. And so we have to come in and we have to recalibrate ourselves. I learned this lesson, in the field where I would come home and do my meditation. And one day I was like, this is when I was younger, but a decade and changing more, probably 15 years ago. And I said, okay, I had a good day. Why? What's going on? Why do I feel this way? And then I realized, I said, hey, this isn't my energy. This is somebody else's stuff. This isn't even mine. So there's people who are walking around with feeling funky and don't know why and think that there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you. You just took on someone else's energy. You just need to dust that off. You don't need an exorcism. You need to dust off that other person's energy. And it's as simple as that. And so there's a certain level of energetic sanitation that we need to engage in. Just like we bathe, we wash ourselves,
I
I
stay on that one definitely because we can't pick up people's energy.
right. Right. So when we get home after a date, take a shower, take a bath. If you can take a bath, even better than taking a shower. But if you can only take a shower because you're traveling around on the train and walking on the streets. There's dust and things like that. But then there's dusty people too. There's people you get people's dust on you. They're energetic
Yeah,
dust on you. So you have to get that off of yourself.
yeah, yeah. Um, this person, Quintanella, says Qigong sounds a lot like this shamanic healing that she received from a shamanic surgeon that utilizes resurrection light in her practice.
Oh wow, yeah. I've never heard of resurrection light, but these things that all these healing arts are cousins, and they work towards the same ends in the end of the day, which is to restore the energy field, to rebalance the body, to heal people on an energetic, a cellular, a quantum level.
Um, let's see. This person says, Mr. Lloyd, I've studied astrology for a long time. My mother, G. Hickson, told me about your work. Yeah, I have been doing this a long time, that's for sure. But I love what I do. Just like Cameron loves what he does too. And you know, the one thing I've noticed when people make the kind of commitments we do, we really fall in love with what we do because it helps humanity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's obvious it's not for the money. Not that we don't need the money.
Right.
But we tend to take it to a whole nother level that I think is interesting. Let me just, there's one thing I do want to show people a second. Hold on 1 second with this. I want to kind this comment here. I want to also with the banner a second, because I want to show people your website. He has a very, I would suggest that all of you go to his website. Okay. Go to his website, take a look at it, look at the testimonials, all the things that he has. This man is serious. And again, I met him through Nicholas Brooklyn. Many of some of the holistic people I have met through this unique store in Brooklyn at 1396 Fulton Street. All you got to do is just ask for Monique. The next go-to person is Capunia. Everybody knows Capunia. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. And
shout out to Monique. Shout out to Sister Cafunia. I just want to give them a shout out too, because Monique has, as long as I've known Monique now, almost 20 years, about 18, 19 years now. And Monique has always been a huge supporter of the
she always opened her heart to everybody, man. You know? So I agree. It's just really, really amazing. So that you can see right here at his place right there. This tell here where you can go to his website. It is www.armew how do you say it?
Arm you, like arm you with the tools, arm you with protection.
Arm you with the tools of knowledge. Yes, okay. .com. And explore this website for yourself later on this evening, please, and tell me what you see. We're going to be wrapping this up in a few minutes, but this is great. Any other comments a second? Oh, hold on. There's a gentleman, Neil. Thank you so much for the donation. Much appreciated. Neil made some comments earlier.
Thank you.
And let's see something here.
Definitely going to check out that book too. Thank you for that.
Yes. Okay. This person said they heard of these 7-day talks. Yeah, it is. I heard it mentioned and I looked it up, but it's easier said than done. Complete silence. You don't talk to nobody. You don't know nobody. It's like, and most people can't do it because they're so used to the noise. They're used to distractions, the TV, the sounds, the ambulances, the sirens.
And then in that, your mind is the loudest thing. You can't escape your mind.
That's true. Quintanella says, thanks for sharing your knowledge, wisdom, and gifts with us, Cameron. I thank you too. I thank you
pleasure.
Too.
Thank you.
And Steve Descala says, hello. Always enjoy seeing Lloyd in Brooklyn. Yeah. And then Quintanella says she loves your business name. Jazz Aphrodite is the best. This is where you go to his site. Cameron Simons-LMT.com. This is another one too.
Right. So that's right. So I like armu.com because it's simpler. It's simpler, and
you just get right to the point.
Right to the point. And so Armu, I just want to say too, Armu stands for Axial Release Massage and Energy Works.
Repeat that one more time slowly, and what each word means. Axial, what does that mean? Okay, go ahead. Right there.
Axial Release Massage and Energy Works, because I deal with the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton is the skull, the spine, and the rib cage. And yes, and so that's part of my philosophical approach to the body, because the axial skeleton houses the central nervous system. Central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. And addressing those, now you're really getting into the energy work. And so people we're in too much fight or flight. That's the sympathetic nervous system. So part of my work is to get you into rest and relaxation, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. When we're in the parasympathetic, then we are digesting, we are processing, we are secreting different fluids that actually break down the foods and the toxins that we have in our body. So if we're in fight or flight all the time, then we're not even metabolizing what goes into our body, whether it's food, whether it's drink, whether it's emotions, whether it's other people's crap. If we're not in parasympathetic, then we are not processing and absorbing, right? So that's what my work is doing. And that's why I say massage is a vehicle for energy work, because it's all energy work. Our bodies are energy. But if we're not getting to the energy level, the subtle levels of energy within our body, then what are we really doing?
Good question, my man. Good question. Good
Mm-hmm.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron, I want to thank you very, very much. The time went too short, man. It's
Yeah.
like I have more questions, so we're gonna have you back at some point up the road if it's all right with you.
Oh,
We do a
please. I
part
would
two.
love to. I would love to. I
Yeah,
love
because
your
I see
audience.
you went deep. Okay.
Yeah. And this is the thing, because I went deep, but this was like superficial deep. There's so much that so much deeper we
Well,
could
we got
go.
to take it to the next level. Okay.
Yes.
We got to go down a little bit down, more down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
But thank you so
Absolutely.
much. So, in closing, is there anything you wish to say to the viewers for their own benefit or whatever the case is? And you want to say a meditation or whatever? How long would that be? Because I'm spilling over the hour.
I can do a quick minute to 2 minute.
Okay, please do, please do.
Okay.
While
So I'll say it like this. First and foremost, thank you for everything, Baba Lloyd, for the platform that you're providing and for bringing people like me on to meet your audience and meet the world. So
my pleasure, absolutely.
So everybody who's listening to this right now, listen, you may be experiencing this right now in real time, July 14th, 2025, but this is going to reverberate through the heavens, through the quantum realms, okay? You can always come back to this, but the important thing is to come back to your space. You have to create these resonance chambers for yourself so that you can manage your vibration and really manage your energetic sanitation. Okay. So, what I'm going to do right now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to go a little bit deeper into our technology. I hope everybody that has a bathtub can now go and soak after this, go and meditate after this, journal after this, whatever you need to do. Okay. Find a comfortable position. You can be sitting down, laying down, whatever it is. You can have your eyes open or closed. I say have your eyes closed. If it's dimly lit, that's even better. Okay. You want to breathe down into your belly below your navel into what we call the lower dantian. As you're breathing, you want to focus on how it feels emotionally, because now we're moving energy, right? So just take a moment and breathe into your lower dantian, inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Have a nice straight spine. You want to set your intention for what you want, right? What does it look like when you've achieved that, when you've attained that goal? How does it feel in your body? And maybe you don't want to visualize it exactly, but how does it feel? And once you tap into that feeling, you want to fill your body up with that feeling and that sensation. Fill it up from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Inhaling, exhaling through the nose. Any distracting thoughts, just acknowledge them and send them on their way. If you have to do this 100 times, it's okay. You want to tap into the feelings. And from here, take a nice deep inhale. And on the exhale, sigh. Ooh.
Ooh.
Inhale. Exhale and sigh. Ooh. One more big inhale. Exhale and sigh. Ooh. And that is a short version of what can become a very long and deep meditation.
Bless you, Cameron. Thank you very, very much. I think my viewers and I have certainly learned a whole lot on this third anniversary of Live with Lloyd on YouTube. And for all of you who've been sticking with me all the years from Stephen, I mean, there's so many people to name, and my moderators on Monday and Wednesday, Jazz Aphrodite and Empress Rel, respectively. I'm a very fortunate person and all the wonderful guests I've had. And you just capped it off very nicely, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brother Lloyd.
So you will definitely be back, and probably I'll see you sooner or later out in Brooklyn.
Right,
Okay.
right.
All righty. So thank
right.
you, everybody. So I'm going to, Cameron, thanks so much, buddy. You have a blessed day too. All right.
You too. Thank you so
Love
much.
you much, man. Thank you.
I love you, brother.
Okay. So everybody, I do want to thank Cameron very much. Cameron Simons, excuse me. This is his website right there. This all his information. Please make sure that you take this, reach out to him, especially his phone number is 917-300-1957. That's 917-300-1957. Text him. Definitely support him at the Cash App, which is $ARMEW, ARMEW. Okay, please do. So I do want to sign off by thanking all of my wonderful sponsors. Let me go back to the top. This is Queen B, who is actually Melinda Valentine. You'll find out on July the 20th when she comes out. That'll be on this Friday. She is offering a summer sale on her charts. They're $50, not $50 off. It's $50, period. I mean, you couldn't get a better bargain to get an in-depth chart from her. Also, King Simon, bless his soul. This is my brother in every sense of the word. He has helped me so much. He is now in part 2 for July. Part 3 is next month. So if you want to be a part of this exclusive event, checking about the anatomy of numerovation, please go to www.patreon.com/King Simon Productions. Also, of course, Nicholas Brooklyn out at 1396 Fulton Street. This is the place where you can go and see myself. You can see Hank Rising Sun, you can see Capunia, you can see Cameron, and a whole lot more there too. Also, I want to thank Uchenna, who really was responsible for motivating me to start the Star 8 app, also motivating me to go on Udemy, which created the Learn from Lloyd series, How to Read a Person Like a Book, the do's and don'ts of numerology, and things like that. So I thank him for that, but his book should be on sale. I think if it's not on sale now, it will be hopefully by Wednesday or no later than next Monday on the 21st, where you can get it the first 7 days. He offered the ebook for just 99 cents. Also, Miss Kimberly of Manifest on Purpose, she has now referred to herself as a business astronumerologist, and she is offering this complimentary gift. You only for people that seen it on this show, okay? So if you let her know that you've seen her spot on the Live with Lloyd show, she is offering a 20-30 minute complimentary consultation for those of you who are interested in starting a business. And the best for last, of course, is Jazz Aphrodite. She has the Numerology Mastery Institute. And in fact, she will be a guest on my show this Wednesday on the 16th to talk about it, to expand it, to give you the reason why you all need to apply at jazzaphrodite.com. Also, got to tell you, my newsletter, we're halfway through the month already. It seems like every time I turn around and do this, I'm ready to start a new month. But the newsletter is absolutely free. The only promotion you'll see is something I'm doing, and also my co-host that does it on YouTube. So at each of the link at the bottom of the horoscope, you'll see a link. So if you don't want to read the written version, you can always view the audio version. And at the end of this month, on the 29th, I'm going to be doing subjects on the palms. I will say this for numerologics. Tomorrow, she is going to be having on her guest Kanaya, Sister Kanaya. She is going to be my guest on the 23rd, next Wednesday. Not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. She is an astronumerologist. I like the title, Numbers Don't Lie, but They Do Sing. That is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Please catch it there. All righty. And then she will be featuring on the 20th. She's letting her know that, yes, she's Queen Bee, but she's really Melinda Valentine. And so that's on the 20th. And then on the 25th, she's going to have me talking about one of my favorite subjects over and above numerology and astrology, which is palmistry matters. So I do have to thank her very, very much. So everybody, I want to thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for acknowledging the anniversary. If somebody told me, Lloyd, you'd be doing this 3 years and still, and I really enjoy it. I got to be honest. I really do. So I thank all of you very much from the bottom of my heart. So with that, y'all, please take good care of yourselves. I will talk to you on Wednesday with my trusted, really good person in the world, Jazz Aphrodite, and she's going to be talking about numerology. I'll ask her some questions that I hope are a little different, and just let her just be Jazz Aphrodite, okay? In the meantime, y'all take care, and I'll see you in 48 hours.